I will have you, your Glock, and your motorcycle hanging on the wall above my desk. So even though we all enjoy doing somewhat illegal things on the road, such as the bandit run and other fun runs like that, even though we enjoy those, they do present a bit of a risk in regards to law enforcement. Now, Rusty and I did not have any law enforcement entanglement on our bandit run. However, these are a few funny stories about the times that the police did catch me and how I was able to get off of the hook. Now, one of the earlier ones happened when I was in high school, still trying to figure out the ins and outs of getting out of traffic stops. And as I've said before, I was in a really little town. So when you got pulled over, more than likely the police officer was going to just say, when I see your mom at church, I'm going to tell her what you were doing. Or, if I see you again, I'm going to tell your granddad, something. So, we all knew each other. It wasn't like some random police officer. This particular night, though, I had gone on a date and had gone to see a movie, and the movie just ran long, and I was not going to be able to get her home in time because the only movie theater we had was 45 minutes away in another town in Rome, Georgia. So, we get out of the movie. Much to my horror, I discovered that I've got a, long way to go and a short time to get there, as the song goes. I got about a 45-minute drive and about 20 minutes to get there, so it's not going to happen. So, I'm 16 probably. She's 16. So I do the right thing. I find a payphone. I call her house and I get her dad on the phone. And of course, I'm being a little Eddie Haskell, very obsequious teenager. Sir, I'm very sorry that I've kept your daughter out, but we got out of the movie and I'm going to get her home late. I just want to let you know I'm very sorry. And, whatever thing I thought I had to say so that he would let me take her on a date again in the hopes of getting to kiss her or something like that. I proceed to hang up the phone and scoot back towards her house as fast as I can. Now, I'm driving at the time a 1967 Volkswagen Beetle Baja with like the cutout fenders and the little Nerf bars and the stinger pipe, and it's loud, and it's got a little like 10-inch steering wheel and an 8-ball gear shifter and like a foot, like the little metal flip-flop foot for the gas pedal. It was a horrible little car, but it was great. I love that thing. So I am driving as fast as I can to get this girl home. Even though I've called her dad, I still want to make a good impression, get her home as fast as possible. And plus, I just like to drive fast. So I am just as fast as this little Volkswagen will go. I'm flying through town, making that glorious little chirpy, warbly sound that Volkswagens make. And as I go around the one turn, kind of going into the main part of town, I pass a police car. And as I passed him, I looked in the mirror and I saw him hit his tail lights to whip it around. So I shut off my headlights, and as I got around into the intersection, there was a little, it was like the one little light in the middle of town. There's like 2 buildings and a gas station, this one little empty lot on the corner, and I don't know who owned the lot, but it was just like people just parked their cars there with the for sale sign in the window, and you just left it there till somebody called you. It was like country town eBay, you just put your car on display. So I just kind of saw empty parking space between 2 cars. I just, lights are off anyway, so I just whip in there, and I'm like, get down. So she and I both like get down under the window of the car. And, very immediately I can see like blue lights like on the headliner of the Volkswagen. So as I raise up over the window, I peek and I can see this police car. Now, in a town with 1,500 people, we've got 4 police cars. The guy at night was a guy named Frank. Frank's pulled me over many times at this point already. Frank is just sitting, he's got the green light, but he's just sitting in the middle of the intersection. And he's looking like, you can see about a quarter mile, half mile in every direction. He knows I'm in a Volkswagen Beetle. I didn't hit turbo and zip out of there. He knows I'm hiding somewhere. So I'm like, he doesn't see us. Get back down. So we get back down. We're under the window, just kind of giggling, he doesn't see us. Ha, ha, ha. So a few seconds later, I just hear, I look up, and Frank is standing there by the window of the car. He's got the flashlight in the window. He's like, get out of the car. I know what you're doing. And I'm like, oh no, so get out of the car. And Frank's like, you were running from me. And I was like, no, Frank, I would never run from you. You're an officer of the law. I would never do that sort of thing. He's like, you were running from me and you turned your headlights off and you whipped into this car lot hoping I wouldn't see you. And I was like, no, Frank, the headlights just went off. The speedometer quit working. The headlights quit working. And I pulled off the road because that's not safe. well, you, sure enough, you were speeding. I said, well, Frank, I told you the speedometer didn't work, and now the lights don't work either. And he said, well, you were ducked down in the floor hiding. I was like, no, Frank, I was trying to find the wire for the lights. What you doing getting this girl out so late? And I was like, well, we were on a date. I just called her dad. I'm trying to get her home, but now the headlights don't work, and I don't know, maybe the switch. Oh, you know what? They just came back on. I better go while I still got time while the light's still working. He's like, well, when I see your mom at church, I'm going to tell her you were driving too fast. And I was like, well, okay, Frank, thank you. You know me. I never run from you. You have a safe night, Frank. I'm going to get this girl home. So that was one of my early forays into cleverly talking my way out of getting a ticket by the police. Many, many pullovers later, some successful, some not. I had another funny one happen. I was riding my motorcycle on the Blue Ridge Parkway, which if you've never driven the Blue Ridge Parkway and you're a car person, you should go find it. It's in the eastern part of the United States. It goes from a town called Cherokee, North Carolina, all the way up to Virginia. It is 469 miles of curvy roads with not a single stop sign. It's a glorious road. I am camping with my father-in-law at the time and the rest of the family. And I've taken the day to go ride a couple of 100 miles up and a couple 100 miles back down again on my motorcycle. Well, it's getting late in the afternoon and I'm heading back, and it's just perfect weather, perfect day, not a lot of traffic. And I'm not going as fast as that bike would go, but as fast as I really wanted to, I guess. I'm just having the greatest day. There aren't many passing zones on the Blue Ridge Parkway, but especially on a motorcycle, it's easy to pass folks. Is you come up on a left-handed turn, of course they have to slow down to 10, 15 miles an hour. You just look up the road, it's a left-hand turn, nobody's coming. You just pass them on the inside and just keep on going. So I'm doing this, having a great time, and I'm in a tunnel at this point behind a big RV, and I didn't want to pass in the tunnel, so I am just waiting my turn, and all of a sudden, just blue lights and sirens behind me like a spaceship, just scared the heck out of me. So, he's right behind me, just on my bumper. So, we get out of the tunnel, there's a little scenic pull off, so I pull off to the left, and the officer circles around, and I don't quite know exactly what he's busted me for, but I've done a lot of things in the last hour, so I'm pretty sure I'm in trouble for at least 3 of them. So the officer comes out and he gets out of his car, and I remember he had this really, really bright red hair, and he gets out he's a national park policeman. He gets out his kind of Smokey the Bear hat, puts it on, and walks over to me. And so he walks up. First thing he says is, do you have a weapon on you? Now, I know that, I'm a big Second Amendment right person myself, and I know technically they have to have a warrant to search you. You don't have to tell them if you got a gun or whatnot. But again, I've found that just being honest and having a concealed carry permit means I've been fingerprinted. I'm not a villain. I'm in the system. That usually is a very good indicator to them that you're not a criminal. They tend to relax, oddly enough, if you're just straight with them. So I told him, yes, sir, I do. I have a Georgia concealed carry permit. I have the gun on me. Would you like to see it? And he said, yes, I would. I said, I'm going to open my jacket. I'm going to reverse overhand draw this gun from a shoulder holster. Are you comfortable with that? He said, yes, sir. He took a step back, kind of put his hand on his weapon. And sure enough, I very carefully and slowly opened my jacket, reverse overhand drew my gun, handed it to him, and he took it, put it in his car. He comes back and he said, do you know why I stopped you? And I said, well, I'm having a pretty good time out here. I was probably going a bit fast. He said, 77. So, excuse me? He said you were going 77 in a 45 and 67 in a 25 in that turn I radared you in. I said, ooh, that's a lot more than I thought. How many cars you reckon you passed on a double yellow? I said, well, that lady in the Subaru motioned me by. He said, 12. Excuse me? He said, 12. He said, I had to go around 12 people to get to you. He said, I've been following you for about 35 miles. I said, wow. I said, I wasn't counting. He said, yeah, I kind of figured that. He said, I'll be right back. So he goes, and again, at the time, you were not legally allowed to carry a firearm in a national park, which technically I was in, but I believe it is legal now. So he comes back and he gives me the gun back. He said, you're obviously capable of getting in way more trouble with a motorcycle than a gun, so I'm just going to give you this back. We're going to forget the whole thing. And he said, what's your big hurry? And I said, well, sir, to be honest with you, my father-in-law was back at the campsite in Cherokee cooking barbecue chicken. It's the best barbecue chicken you've ever had in your life. And I'm trying to get back early before the old people get all the white meat. And he kind of laughs for a second. I'm trying to keep him going. I said, look, you got me fair and square. Ticket or not, if you would just follow me, you will at least understand why I was speeding to get some of this barbecue chicken. He said, well, I'm not in the mood for chicken today, but tell you what, you've been pretty nice to me. I'm just going to write you one ticket for speeding and one ticket for passing on a double yellow. And I said, well, sir, thank you so much. At that time, national park tickets were $110 a piece, flat fee, and they didn't get reported to your insurance. So even though this little escapade cost me $220, it would have been way, way worse had it been, let's say, DeKalb County when I would have, or city of Atlanta, and I would have probably been beaten and put in a jail. So I was very thankful that he had a good sense of humor and at least apparently appreciated good barbecue chicken. So I get the tickets and I go on my way, but that's not where the story ends. So I paid the tickets, and about a year later, this is when the Harley-Davidson had released the 6-speed in the big touring bikes, and I was considering upgrading mine, but before I did, I thought I would rent one and go ride the roads I like to ride, which is the parkway. So I rented one. A friend of mine rented one, and we proceeded to do our own little cannonball up the Blue Ridge Parkway and back. So this is on the return leg, and it's about a year later after the barbecue chicken incident, and we have just been riding literally as fast as we could go. Now, I know we're on Harley Davidsons. They're not the fastest bikes, but they're fun. So we're just out riding as fast as we could go, knowing now that, hey, if you get a ticket, it's only $110. We decided that's just worth the risk. Let's just send it. So we're going as fast as we can. We get back to roughly the same stretch of road again and get behind a big RV. And this guy is pulling 2 motorcycles on a trailer. I know he knows the joy we are experiencing going fast, but yet he still proceeded to coast right by all the scenic pullouts and all the places he could have pulled over to let us go on our way. But finally, we get to a big long straightaway with a double yellow, and the guy kind of slows down, motions us by with his arm. So, of course, we hit the gas, go flying around him. And as we're flying around him, way up the road, well enough space to be a safe pass, I see car come around the curve, headlights on in the daytime. Of course, it's the National Park Police. So blue lights come on. We proceed to change lanes in front of the RV, pull off right into the grass. He goes on by, police car comes around, turns around. And about that time, I'm thinking, man, speeding and passing on a double yellow. I got pulled over for this just about in the same place about a year ago by that red-headed police officer. I look in the mirror, police officer steps out. It's the red hair. Smoking the bandit hat on. I'm thinking, I wonder if he's going to remember me. So he walks up, license, registration, etc. Takes the documentation, goes back to the car, and he's in his car for a long time. A few minutes later, he gets out of the car, and he comes back, and he hands my friends his license, and he hands me my license, and he says, I've stopped you here before, Mr. Michaels. And I said, yes, sir, I believe you did. He said, I was talking about you not long ago. You know, you're the farthest I've ever had to follow anybody to pull them over. I said, well, I aim to try. And he kind of smiled, kind of looked at my jacket. He said, I still see you got your Glock. I was like, yes, sir, I do. He said, well, you were polite to me before. You seem to be polite this time. You're obviously capable of getting in more trouble with the motorcycle than the gun. So again, we're just going to let that go this time. And I figure that giving you tickets obviously didn't seem to change your behavior. So we're going to make a gentleman's agreement. And he puts his hand out, and I kind of tentatively put my hand out. And he shakes my hand, and he kind of grips my hand tight, kind of pulls me in close. And he said, giving you tickets does not slow you down, but you seem like the kind of guy that would respect a handshake between men. So I'm going to make an agreement with you. If you promise on your honor to not speed on this road again and never pass anybody on a double yellow, I'm going to let you and your friend go. But I flagged your name. If you spit on the sidewalk in Yellowstone, if you parallel park wrong in Acadia, if you turn left without using your signal in Everglades, if you do anything in any national park, anywhere, I will have you, your Glock, and your motorcycle hanging on the wall above my desk. I said, yes, sir, we are at an understanding. We shake hands. I get on my bike. He turns on his heel, gets back in his car. My friend is like, what in the heck was that about? I'm like, get out of here before he changes his mind. And we proceeded to ride on and not get tickets that day.